looking to build a 7 and 8 figure business. Today, we're going to talk about the plan to be able to get you there. I mean, not just the funding plan, which we're going to discuss today too. How do you get the money to be able to do that? But today, we're going to dive in and talk about the overall growth plan, what it would take for you to build your business from startup to 7 and even 8 figures. So today, we are going to talk about the mindset of growing a fundable 8-figure business. What does it take? What are the things you should be focusing on now? How do you get the money to be able to go from launching a business to all the way through to growing and scaling an 8-figure business? Everything you need to know to be able to build a 7 and 8-figure business, we're going to dive into today. Now, before I dive in, let me at least mention that we are having a $1 million business challenge taking place next Monday. It's a 100% free event. It's a challenge where we bring all the experts in to teach you how to go from startup to 7 million or to 7-figure business. So if you're interested in getting to the $1 million mark and you're not at the 7-figure business mark yet, then make sure you check it out at milliondollarbusinesschallenge.com. I put the QR code up. You can scan that QR code as well, and that'll take you to the free event. It's a 100% free event, and we walk you through every single thing. We got branding experts there and marketing experts there and funding experts there and everybody that you would need to talk to without paying them thousands of dollars for their courses to be able to get your business up to 7 figures. So if you're interested in building a 7, 8-figure business, make sure you check it out. 100% free challenge, milliondollarbusinesschallenge.com. You can scan this QR code. I'll leave it up for a few minutes as well. Okay, so if you're launching a business, more than likely, you have an intention wherever you are right now, growing to 7 or 8 figures. So what does it take to get there? Well, it takes money. We'll talk about that. I'm going to lay out the exact funding plan for you to get there today. But it's also got to start with the mindset, right? It's got to start with your goals. And that's one of the biggest things I see the most successful entrepreneurs do that those that aren't successful just don't do. And what I mean by that is that the one thing that I think separates successful business owners and not successful business owners is that successful business owners are coming in and they're establishing clear-cut goals. They know where they're trying to get to. They know they're going to get to this point by this time. And that's one of the most important things you need to do. And I was actually meeting with a really, really smart young budding entrepreneur the other day. And when we got off the call, he said, "Ty, you're super smart. Let me ask you this. From somebody at my point that's trying to get this to a 7-figure mark, what is the one piece of advice you give me?" I'm like, "Well, there's a lot of pieces of advice, but I'm like, the one seems so simple. It's know exactly what you're trying to accomplish. What is your goal and what is the time frame to get there?" Most people don't do that, and they get caught in the rut of taking actions and momentum moving forward instead of knowing exactly what they want to do. So if you want to build an 8-figure business and you want to do $10 million, well, what date do you want to get to that point by? Once you have that, once you have the end goal in mind, and by the way, this is something I personally believe. Maybe you agree with this, maybe you don't. But I just think a lot of people have a lot of different goals, personal goals, financial goals, whatever they may be. For me, my mindset usually stays on one big goal that everything can happen. So for example, in my world, I want to build Credit Suite to a $100 million company. That's it. If I look at everything else I want in my life, that one main goal encompasses most of that stuff. Like if I could reach that one goal, then I could get most of that stuff. And the reason I personally do this is because I think that if I put all my energy behind one massive goal, and that's what I think about, that's what I meditate on, that's what I do my incantations on, and everything that I'm going through in the morning, and I do everything else, if it's focused on one, it's kind of hard not to accomplish it if you put all your energy behind one major goal. I'm not saying you have to, but I'm saying it's a good idea to know if you want to grow your business to X amount of level, what is that X amount of level, and what's the time frame that you want to go to get there? By the way, if you're just coming in, tell me where you're coming in from. I'll give you a shout out here on the live stream. Once you know where you want to go, the next thing to do is we've got to reverse engineer the actual plan to get there. Now, on the marketing side, I call this a MAP, a massive action plan. And this isn't applicable to the entire growth of the business, but to give you an idea of how a MAP works and how we can get you to the goal, a MAP starts with what the end goal is. Let's say that we help our partners get to $10,000 a month in revenue, selling business credit. Very common goal a lot of our partners have. Well, in our world, that means if they make 4 sales, they get to that mark. So we know they have to make 4 sales. We know a normal closing percentage is, let's say, 20%, right? So then from that point, we can say, okay, now you got to get to whatever, let's say 20 different sales in order to get to your goal of 20 different presentations to close 20% to get to 4 sales. And now we know that a third of the people they're going to talk to will even want a presentation. Most of them will say, no, it's not for me, whatever. So now we know they got to talk to 60 people in a month. If they talk to 60 people in a month, they're going to do 20 presentations. They do 20 presentations. They should close 4 deals. And that 4 deals makes them $12,000 a month, and they reach their goal. That's a massive action plan. We're starting with the goal, 10 grand a month. How many do we have to sell to get there? How many do we have to present to get there? How many do we have to talk to get to the presentations done? Now we know they got to talk to 60 people a month. So realistically, the goal now is you got to talk to 15 people a week or 3 people a day. So that's a very manageable goal. If we tell one of our partners, now all you need to do is get in front of 3 people a day to say, do you want money for your business? Do you own a business, or do you want to start a business? And do you want money to grow that business? If you're doing that with 3 people a day, you should be able to reach your goal. So you can see that when we start with a really big goal of, hey, I want to make $10,000 a month in this example, and we work our way down, it's very, very, very manageable to actually hit that goal. And by the way, we do this with all of our team as well. So we do this especially with every member of our sales team and our Filipino or our team that mostly is in large parts out of the Philippines, of our setters, what we call our SDS or our setter team. We say, what is your goal? I want to get a car. How much is the car? How much does that cost? What do you have to do in bonuses and pay to get that done? And then we work backwards, and then we hold them accountable for their goals, because hitting those goals is what, their goals of how many sales and connections and stuff they're doing is what gets them to their bigger goal. In this case, a car. So goal setting is very important. And if you're building an 8-figure business, it's the first thing you want to do. Well, how much do you want to make? When is the time frame you want to get there by? Now you can start working backwards and developing the plan to actually make that happen. What would have to happen in the marketing? What kind of infrastructure would you have to do? What kind of projections are you going to actually write up? The projections to actually know the numbers you'd have to hit to know that you're on track to being able to hit that goal. So that's it. You want to create a plan by knowing where you're going and knowing, then reverse engineering a plan to actually get there. Now, the other thing you're going to want to do upon that plan is how much money are you going to need to execute that actual plan? So if your growth strategy to grow to 7 figures is to be able to, let's say, develop a Facebook ad campaign and run Google ads, okay, great. Well, how much are those ads going to start? Based on your projections and based on your plan, how much this month would you need to have money-wise to be able to make those campaigns work? How much would you need next month to scale that? The next month. So again, projections will help you to determine, hey, in order to hit my goal, I've got to make this much in revenue at this time. This month, I need to make this much in revenue. Once you know that, then it's easier for you to actually come through and start saying, okay, now what would I have to do to execute this plan? I'm going to grow the plan by affiliate relationships, which cost me nothing. Facebook ads, which I would need to start spending $5,000 a month. I'm just making up numbers. Google, which I need to spend $2,000 a month. Now you need $7,000 a month in advertising. Well, now you have an idea of how much money you're going to need, right? And then what other things do you need? When do you need a bookkeeper? When do you need whatever resources you need to be able to build your business up to that mark? And that is going to help you come in and start establishing how much money you're actually going to need to be able to get there. So once you do this, now it comes time to figure out where and how to get the money. So how do we go from startup to getting the money to build a 7 and 8 figure business? Now, this is what's interesting, because I oftentimes hear people say, hey, if we ask them, hey, do you make $100,000 a month in revenue? Someone will say, well, if I did that, I wouldn't be needing money. Yeah, you would be. There's a reason Apple has $100 billion in debt. The bigger you get, the more money you're going to need access to, because you're making bigger moves. See, the average startup needs $10,000. Again, across the country, if we look at on average per surveys, how much does a startup need? They say, hey, I need $10,000, right? And by the way, L. Parker, thanks for coming in. And Yvonne, thanks for coming in from Queens, New York. And Lady Secret, hello from Arkansas. If you're just coming in, tell me where you're coming in from. So now, if we're starting a business and we need a little bit of capital, but when we're getting to a point where we've got a $10 million business, then we're going to need a lot of capital to get there. If we're going from $1 million to $2 million, or $2 million to $4 million, or $4 million to $10 million, there's a lot of capital that we're going to need to get there. So your demand and desire for capital and appetite for capital is going to grow as the business gets bigger. So now that we kind of have an idea, how do we develop especially a fundability and a funding plan to get there? Then now we understand we've set a goal, we've worked backwards and reverse engineered what we need to do to get to that goal. Now we're starting to get an idea of the money we're going to need to do this. Now the question becomes, how do we get that money? So let's talk about the strategy of startup to $8 million business or 8-figure business, how to get the money. So first of all, there's 3 things lenders care about most: cash flow, credit, collateral. That's the 3 things. So when you start a business, when you first launch a business, you don't have cash flow yet, which means the other 2, collateral or credit, is what is going to be needed to typically get you the money that you need. Now, when I say typically, I mean there are exceptions here. You can go and find grants that may work for you. And by the way, we've got a grants course we just released. I got to figure out where that is and get that to you. So you can go get grants for that, or you can go raise money from private investors, or you can maybe go and raise money from crowdfunding if you have the right idea. There are exceptions to the rule, but 98% of funding you're going to need cash flow, credit, or collateral. So if I'm just launching a business, I don't have cash flow. I don't have revenue yet. So that means there's 3 main ways we're going to get you funding from the very beginning. The first and best is using personal credit to get you there. Now, you can use your own personal credit, or you can use personal credit of somebody else. And the best program out there for this is called Credit Line Hybrid. Now, with Credit Line Hybrid, you can get $50, $100, even $150,000 in funding as a brand new startup business. Like, you literally could start your business today and go apply and get approved for up to $150,000 in capital. Okay, so this is perfect for a startup because you can get 0% rates. You can for up to 18 months. You can get 50, 100, 150,000 in funding, so more funding than a typical startup is ever going to need. You can get the money in about 2 to 3 weeks, so it's super simple and fast to get the money. And it is simple. It's only based on good consumer credit. Like if you have 700 type credit scores, or a guarantor, a partner, a friend, an investor, or anybody else does that we've signed as a guarantor, well, then with good credit and pretty much good credit alone, you're able to get approved. Now, you need to not have a lot of inquiries, and you can't be overutilized on your revolving accounts and stuff like that. But the bottom line is, if you manage your credit well and you have good credit scores, then there's a very good possibility that you're able to get Credit Line Hybrid even as a startup. Now, don't get me wrong. You can get this even as a well-established business. But the reason I mention this is the best kind of funding that I've actually found for startups. And I'm applying the link if you're interested in getting approved for that. You can actually go and scan the QR code right there, or you can just go to creditsuite.com/CLH. So this is the best way I've seen to be able to get funding. And here's why. Most people have good credit or someone around them that does. This is the easiest to obtain way to be able to get startup capital. My dad, my mom has really good credit. So if I needed money to launch a business, instead of going and borrowing money from them that required them to sell stocks and liquidate their bank account, I could just use their credit to get it, and I would pay it back and their credit wouldn't be harmed. A lot of these accounts on the report to the Business Credit Reporting Agency. So it'd be a solid way to get the money that I need to start the business. Now, if you don't want to use your credit or somebody else's, then we look at that other C that lenders look at. In this case, it's collateral. So we look and say, what do we have right now that's of value that we could pledge as an asset to get the money we need? It could be cryptocurrency. It could be vehicles. It could be real estate. It may actually even be stocks, bonds, 401ks, or IRAs, for example. Any of those things will let me know. Or any of those things could work as collateral to be able to get you the funding. And those are things that you might have, or someone around you might actually have as well. Okay, so that being said, this is something that actually may work really well for you as well. And hold on for 1 second. I don't usually do this, but I have my kid's school just called, and I obviously can't take it because I'm here with you. So I'm making sure that their mom knows that this school just called, so that she can call the school right now to figure that out. So that being said, so startup capital, Credit Line Hybrid is the easiest. Anything based on collateral you may have, stocks, bonds, 401ks, IRAs, that's other kind of very, very valid funding that may work for you as well. The other type of funding that may work for you is business credit, right? You can get business credit even as a brand new startup business. And as a brand new startup business, you can start getting high limit credit lines that you can then use to be able that you can actually use to be able to grow the business. Business credit gives you a way for the business to actually fund itself, right? That's a nice thing. It gives you the ability for your business to actually fund itself because you're building a credit profile and score for the business. You're then using that profile and score to go out and get like a $10,000 credit card at Home Depot and Best Buy and Apple and HP and Dell and most of what we buy, Amazon. I mean, most of what we buy are in these retailers anyways. And this is a mistake I see a lot of newer businesses make when it comes to getting capital. What they're doing is they're trying to go get a $50,000 credit line, which is absurd. It doesn't make sense. It's so hard to do that. They're taking the hardest path to get the money they need. Take the easiest path. Take the easiest route to get the money that you need. And my advice to help you do that is twofold. First of all, stop trying to get all the money you need in one place. That's what makes it hard. I don't care if you're just starting a business and trying to get 50 grand, or you're trying to expand the business and get 500,000. If you try to get all the money at one source, it's way harder than spreading it out. So when we go to get money, larger sums of money, we typically go to 2 to 5 different lenders and 2 to 5 different kind of loan programs, and we piece it together. If I need $500,000, I can go get it from SBA, but it's going to be a harder, longer underwriting process. But $350,000 is very easy to get from SBA. So I'm going to go 350, go the easy route, and then I'm going to get another credit line for 150. Because if I do that, it's easier to get my $500,000 than it is to be able to get it all from one source. Startups, it's even harder. So business credit, what's nice is that if you look at what you need to launch the business, if I'm launching a credit repair business, I need computers, I need a desk, I need a chair, I need a paper, I need a printer, I need stamps. 100% of what I just mentioned, you could use business credit for, 100%. So we want to start using business credit as a startup too. That's going to help us get future money as we grow the 8-figure business. And it's also going to help us get startup capital right away. Right? So we want to make sure that we come in and we look at these options to get the money to get the business off the ground. We look at building business credit. We look at credit line hybrid. We look at any kind of asset we have, stocks, bonds, 401ks, IRAs, cryptocurrency, vehicles, real estate, any of those things that could serve as collateral from us or somebody else. That's going to get us the initial funding that we need to launch the business in the very beginning. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is the business then is going to start actually generating a revenue, right? Now we've got money to start the execution of our plan. Remember, our plan was, we just made it up. We're going to go get affiliates to send us business, and we're going to start running Facebook and Google ads. Now we've got the money to start testing, very small, to see what works. It's the other big lesson I will give you is that, look, I see people start on Facebook with $50 a day budgets. That's absurd. That's crazy. We spend $1 million a year on Facebook and Google ads. We started with $5 a day. And let me tell you something I've learned. It doesn't matter if I spend $5 a day, $50 a day, or $500 a day. My metrics are the exact same. So what I mean is that if I'm going to get whatever, if my click-through percentage is 50%, it's going to be 50% whether I spend $500 or $5. So I want to test as small as I can to see what works, and then slowly start scaling what actually works, right? So the bottom line is now we've got the money to get the business off the ground. And again, crowdfunding, grants, there's other alternatives, but I've given you the best path to be able to get there. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to start getting money as the business starts to generate revenue. And great news for us, the easiest money for us to get is having a business that's generating revenue for 6 months or more. When we cross that one barrier, like in my world, in the finance world of getting you money, getting entrepreneurs money, the golden goose in my world is a business that's generating revenue for 6 months and the revenue is increasing. If you have that, you have the golden goose, all of this funding becomes available to you. We can go to Bluevine and get a credit line. We can go to Fundbox and get a credit line. We can start getting any kind of revenue lending and merchant cash advances. All of that starts to become available. PayPal loans, Square loans, Stripe loans. All of this starts to become available with 6 months of generating revenue. So we want to generate about $5,000 a month or more. 6 months of us generating revenue, not generating $5,000. When I go to get the loan, I need to be at $5,000 a month or more, but I need about 6 months of total revenue. If I have that, now PayPal becomes available, Square and Stripe. By the way, if you're just launching your business, go get PayPal, Square, and Stripe and start using those to accept payments from your customers. Those are the easiest kind of money to get. Not only is it easy, it's just based on how much money you're running through there, but it's also really cheap. A lot of them don't even charge you interest. There's not even exorbitant fees. It's super simple money to get. So now PayPal, Square, and Stripe start to give you funding, and they give you really good funding, like 30% of whatever you're generating through there. Think about that. So if I'm generating 10,000, let's just start the startup mindset. Let's say I only make $5,000 a month in revenue. Well, then I'm able to get like $1,500, $2,000 from PayPal, Square, or Stripe. If I'm doing $10,000 a month, I'm able to come to get $30,000 from PayPal, Square, and Stripe right away, like months into running my business, right? And then as we continue to grow the revenue, we continue to get more and more and more financing. Revenue lending, merchant cash advances open up. Now, our credit doesn't matter. Collateral doesn't matter. All that matters is we have consistent revenue. And with the growing revenue, the growing loans start coming in. Maybe I make $10,000 a month, 6 months into the business. Then I make $20,000 a month, a year into the business. Well, now I'm able to get considerably more money through these kind of funding options. And this opens up our door to be able to get more funding to start continuing to grow the business. And CJ, thanks for coming in from Texas. I appreciate you coming in. Elko, Nevada, Liberty Brothers TV. I could tell you so many stories about Elko, Nevada. I literally have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acres of land that I own in Elko, Nevada. You're the only person I've ever met from Elko, Nevada. So again, this is the good thing about saying hi to everybody. The bad thing is ADD. I get distracted because Elko, Nevada is in the house. St. Louis is in the house. Mike, thanks for coming in. And Facebook user says, in that case, is it better to purchase an existing business? That's a really good question. I'm going to throw that one up on the screen. So here's a good question. Is it better to purchase an existing business? Well, I think that's a subjective opinion. My opinion is yeah, way better and way easier to buy an existing business than launch one. Because when you launch a business, getting momentum going takes a lot. Anybody that has done it knows it's a lot of work. It's a lot of long nights. It's a lot of things you think work, not working, and things randomly that you didn't think would work way better than you thought it would work, right? So it's way difficult to start a business. But if you buy an existing business, all of those kinks have worked out. You have a proven concept. You have a proven model. A lot of things are proven when you buy it. Now, if you have good credit and you have good financials, you can get an SBA loan to purchase the business. An SBA will cover 80 to 90% of the cost to buy the new business. And the seller will usually let you hold the note with them for the other 10 or 20%. Or sometimes you could even use the assets of the business to actually come in and that you're buying to be able to cover the 10 or 20%. Meaning, for example, I can get an SBA loan for 90% of the purchase price, go get the business, then leverage their assets as collateral to borrow them against them to get the seller the rest of the money the seller needs, or the seller can hold a note. So yeah, buying an existing business is way easier than trying to buy a new business. But again, a lot of us are still starting from scratch and growing our business up. But again, very good question. I love that question. Thanks for asking that. Whoever that was on Facebook that asked it, it doesn't tell me your name. So now we're coming in and now we're starting to get financing through revenue lending. We're starting to get $5,000 to $50,000, 6 to 12 months into the business growth. How much money we get depends on the revenue. Now, here's what you need to focus on. Have some kind of profit that you claim on that first tax return. It doesn't matter if it's $1,000. At $1,000, you might pay $500 to the IRS. But it's a night and day difference with getting the funding. Because the minute I have that first tax return, especially if it shows a profit, now I am able to actually use that to start getting even better lines of credit and better loans. I'm able to get fintech alternative loans. I'm able to get fintech alternative credit lines. So these are way easier to get at banks. And now I might start to be getting up to $50,000, $100,000 in funding. Now I'm building an infrastructure for my business. I'm now scaling my Facebook ads. I'm scaling my Google ads. I'm scaling my marketing strategy, right? Then on top of all of that, now I'm actually able to start building the infrastructure. I'm starting able to start hiring support team members and hiring employees and start maybe bringing in somebody that can help me with the high level strategy stuff. Now I'm getting more money and I have the ability to do this. Side note, one more piece of advice. Hire virtual assistants. Okay. Look, when we started Credit Suite, I had already had a consumer credit repair company. And this consumer credit repair company was, for the most part, completely run by people that were foreign contractors from the Philippines. Sarah, who I started working with 12 years ago, ran the back end of my credit repair business, and she now is still with Credit Suite. Her and I still work together for 12 years, and she handles a large part of our social media now. So the reason I'm telling you this is that when I first started Credit Suite, my partner Megan said, hey, we're ready to hire this employee. And I said, how much? She said, 15, 20 bucks an hour. I said, that's absurd. You need to go get somebody from the Philippines and do that at $6 an hour. She said, that's absurd. I said, watch, let me hire him. Let me find him. Let me train him to do that task. And you give me what you think. A month into it, she said, that's insane. I said, I know. They're doing a good job, right? They're killing it. I'm telling you. So then she got on board. And to this day, probably 40% of our overall team is now foreign contractors. So, and again, they're in all of the divisions of our company, even front facing on our SDS or setter team. So the reason I tell you this is that if you're launching a business in the beginning year, cutting costs and saving money is very important. And using a place like Upwork to be able to hire international contractors from Mexico, from the Philippines are great places to get them. Okay, then you're able to afford to bring the staff you need in to grow the business. And now I'm giving you the funding plan to be able to get there. So now we're starting to grow the business. And now we've got a year's worth of tax returns. Now alternative credit lines have become available. Now we're even able to come in and start getting loans as well, 50,000, 100,000 or more. Now we start to get to a point where we can get SBA financing. Now, in order to get SBA financing, we need to have good personal credit, good business credit, cash flow verifiable, preferably tax returns, even better if they show a profit. And then we're also able to have some kind of collateral. We need some kind of collateral to typically get an SBA loan. The easiest collateral for you to be able to get is called account receivables. And what AR is when I let a customer pay me on terms. So for example, Credit Suite has a partner program. You can get started with our partner program for like $5,000. We give you everything you need to run a business, offering business credit and lending, right? That's what Credit Suite does. We help you get money, and we also have a partner program to help you help others get money and make a lot of money, right? Partners make $2,000, $3,000 on profit on every sale they make. So that is what we do. Now, a lot of clients that come to us, they don't have $5,000. They don't want to part with $5,000 in one payment. So we say, okay, you can come in and you can pay $700 a month for 9 months. That is an installment plan. You could pay the one payment and get a discount, or you can pay it over time and pay monthly payments. When we do that, we are building account receivables. We are building an AR. We have somebody that owes us money. And the more of those people that owe us money, that money that's owed to us becomes an asset. Now, I can borrow against that. I can go and get a lender to do AR financing, and they will finance that, and they'll still give me the most of my money in advance. So I can let my customers pay me over 9 months, and 90% of that money that they owe me, the lender will give me the next day. Think about that. The next day, the lender will give me 90% of the money the customer owes, even though the customer won't even pay it for 9 months. It's beneficial to the lender. It's beneficial to me. It's beneficial to the customer. And I'm building an asset, AR, that helps make it easy for me to get other kind of loans like SBA that need collateral. So now I'm a year to 3 years into the business. Now I want to try to get SBA lending. Why? What's the deal with SBA? Why does everybody want this? One word for you: term. That's it. That's all that matters. The reason everybody wants SBA is SBA gives 15 to 30-year loan terms. And so what that means is it means your payment is really small because you're financing it over such a long period of time. Now, a normal lender like revenue lending will give you 3 years. So imagine financing money over 3 years versus 30. I'll give you the math of this. So the first loan we ever got was $75,000 with a $9,000 a month payment. The second loan we got was $325,000, $250,000 more than our first loan, and our payment was only $4,500. What? We got $250,000 more in funding, and our payment was half as much. That's why you want SBA. The loan term is long. So we can start getting hundreds of thousands in funding through a credit line or a loan, and our payments are small because the term is so low, Okay. So that is exactly why we want to get SBA. Doc says, hey, let's get these likes up, family. I love it. Yeah, I love it. As Doc says, let's get the likes going on. And again, if you have any questions, type them in. Tell me where you're coming in from, and I'll give you a shout out as well. So now, a year to 3 years into business, we've got tax returns. We've got some kind of profit. We built our business credit. We've got good personal credit. Okay. You should have been working on fixing your credit issues during this time. Don't let any business credit guru out there tell you personal credit's not important. I can teach you how to build business credit all day long, regardless of your personal credit quality. But I'm still going to tell you personal credit's really important to getting the best kind of loans you want to get. So while you're building business credit and doing all this, fix your personal credit. Yeah, I know it's busted. It's okay. It's because we're entrepreneurs. Literally, our entire life is about taking risks that other people won't take. And sometimes those risks pay off for us, and sometimes they don't. Oftentimes, we make decisions that don't pan out like we'd like them to pan out. Let's be honest, that's being an entrepreneur, and that affects our personal credit. It's okay if you have damaged personal credit. I had bad credit more in my life than I had good credit because I'm a risk taker by default. It's why I'm an entrepreneur. It's why I have an 8-figure business, because I take a lot of risks that other people don't take. And sometimes I'm wrong, and it affects my credit. It happens, right? But that's okay. Work on fixing that. So now when we get to this stage in the growth, now we can get SBA loans. Now we can get $350,000 loans in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And in order to do so, we're also able to have revenue, we're able to have profits, and we're able to have the business credit established, have the AR, have the collateral, the things that we actually need to be able to do it. That is all you need from that point on. Once you're to that level, getting money is super fast and super easy. I can go out and literally right now get a $150,000 credit line and get it funded within a week. And I can get another $150,000 credit line and get it funded within a week. I can get a $350,000 loan and have it funded in about 3 weeks. It's not because I'm Superman. It's because I have already proven to lenders. My business credit report has gotten bigger. Lenders are seeing all the loans I've got, the credit lines I paid successfully. They're seeing my credit cards that I've actually paid successfully. And as I continue to build out that credit profile, the more and easier money becomes available. It's just the way it is. It's the same with you as a consumer. Like when you're 18 and you first start your credit report, you're not going to go get a mortgage, or you're not going to go out and get a Lamborghini loan. It ain't going to happen. But as you build yourself up and build that credit up, Lamborghini loans become available if you want one. A mortgage becomes available if you want one. It's the same in the business space. As we're doing all this stuff, we're building our business credit reports out. And then in doing so, it makes it easier for us to get more money at better terms. That is a strategy and the mindset you need of growing a business, a fundable 8-figure business. We know the goal. We know the time frame to get to the goal. We mapped out the money and the projections we're going to need to hit those numbers. Then we have an idea of the funding we need. Now we start with credit line hybrid. We start with business credit. We start with stocks, bonds, 401ks, IRAs, cryptocurrency, equipment, inventory, or equipment typically, vehicles, real estate, anything we have an asset that can be pledged to get money, we leverage that to be able to get the money that we need, okay? Now we get the business launched. Then we start generating revenue. 6 months in, we're getting PayPal, we're getting Stripe, we're getting Square loans, we're getting Fundbox, we're getting Bluevine. We're able to come in and get merchant cash advances and revenue lending. Now we're put that money in the business, and the business is starting to grow. Now what we tested in marketing is starting to work, and we're starting to scale this thing. Now we get a year, and we're filing those first tax returns. We show a profit on those tax returns, and now we're starting to open up the door a year to 3 years to SBA or to alternative lenders, to alternative lending credit lines and loans. Then about a year and a half to 3 years in, now we're able to start getting SBA loans at 15 to 30-year terms. We're able to get $500,000. We're able to get $5 million or more. It doesn't make a difference. And now money becomes readily available to us where we can get it within about a week to 3 weeks time frame if we need it. That is the strategy, the financial strategy to build yourself to an 8-figure business. So hopefully that provides you a ton of value. And Doc says, hey, I do credit repair. We just gave credit repair as an example today, Doc. And says, that's true. You must have good personal credit to be a guarantor. You do. And look, no matter what anybody says again in building your business, you're going to need personal credit. It's what's going to open up the most capital for you. And somebody from Facebook says, hey, Ty, Gigi from Maryland, how long will it take for a new business to qualify for SBA loans? Gigi, I'm going to give you a secret that most people do not know. You can get SBA loans as a startup, and there's 2 ways to mainly do it. So first of all, you can actually get an SBA micro loan. And if you go in and type in micro loan SBA into Facebook, you can go to SBA's website page for this, and they have basically like these subsidiaries that offer these loans. They're not offered by the banks. Usually banks guarantee or offer SBA guarantee loans. They don't. But microloans are available through these other sources that SBA actually has relationships with. And here's the deal, Gigi. You can get $50,000 on an SBA microloan. 50 grand. The average SBA microloan is $13,000, and you can get it as a brand new startup business. Gigi, second thing, you can use an SBA loan to acquire a new business. Or third thing, and any startup can actually get an SBA loan. But an SBA, in order to give you a startup loan, needs to have really strong financials. So if you want a startup loan as an for SBA based on you personally, your personal credit needs to be good, and you need to have really good personal financials. Like my P&L on the personal side needs to be good, meaning I need to have some liquid money. I need to have liquid money. I need to have good credit. I need to have assets and a P&L that shows like my net worth is there. So anybody can get it if they have good personal financials as a startup. Now, Gigi might be saying my personal financials aren't that good. Most of ours aren't when we start a business, hand raised, myself included, right? So that being said, then you just want to go with the SBA microloan. That can help you. Now, Gigi, beyond that, normally SBA wants to see 2 to 3 years worth of tax returns. So to answer your question, you're going to probably want to have 2 to 3 years worth of tax returns to get a normal SBA 7A loan outside of microloans, which you can get as a startup, acquisition loans, which you can get to acquire new business, or having really strong personal financials you can use. Multiple ways to be able to get SBA loans. Hopefully that helps you there as well. Fly Ty, on up. I love that, man. Thank you. And Tris says, hey, I love everything Ty has ever shared. Awesome and insightful info and purpose. I appreciate that. Okay, so 2 next steps. First of all, make sure you register. If you want to build the 7-8 figure business, then go to $1,000,000businesschallenge.com. And I'm going to put that on my QR code. I'm going to throw up the QR code right here. It's 100% free. Like next week on Monday, we launch. It's a 100% free event. And we bring all these experts in that teach you how to build a $1 million business. Branding experts, marketing experts. We bring in the financing experts, everything you need to build a $1 million plus business. We give you during this challenge. You can scan the QR code or go to the URL, $1,000,000businesschallenge.com. So make sure you do that. The next thing is make sure you also scan this QR code or go to creditsuite.com/consult. And then meet with our team. And our team will do a free finance assessment to give you the roadmap for you individually on how to get the money you need. They're going to say, look, how long have you been in business? Are you just starting the business? How much money do you need? What do you need the money for? And then they're going to talk to you about the best plan to be able to get that money. Here's the best plan: business credit, loans, grants, whatever it may be. They'll literally map out the plan for you at no cost and give you a personalized blueprint to get the money you need. It's 100% free. You can scan the QR code or go to creditsuite.com/consult. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you very much for tuning in. Now you know the mindset of growing a fundable 8-figure business from startup to millions of dollars in funding. I gave you the map. You've got the access to our consult for a individualized blueprint to map it out for you as well. So if you got value, make sure you like and make sure you subscribe, and then keep your eye out on our next training. We're talking about more cool ways to get the money you need to start and grow your business.